We are diving into a story today that is absolutely less about a single tragedy and really entirely more about the immediate eruption of accusations, betrayal, and, well, political infighting that followed.
Yeah.
It is a true study in how a major public event gets almost instantly buried under, conflicting conspiracy theories.
It's the ultimate paradox of the digital age, isn't it?
Hmm?
An official story is established, but within hours, the public sphere is wrestling with two or three entirely different, much more emotionally charged narratives.
Exactly.
We're watching a prominent figure's death become this kind of battleground for political score settling and some really dark speculation.
That initial headline, of course, was the public execution or shooting death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, founder of Turning Point USA.
Hmm.
That was the tragedy, the World Register, right?
Yeah.
Our mission today is to give you the shortcut to understanding the chaos that came next, focusing entirely on the accusations hurled by his former ally, Candace Owens, and the subsequent fracturing of his political and personal circle.
And the initial public moment was one of, unified sorrows, particularly centered on his widow, Erica Kirk, who was widely perceived as the devastated grieving wife.
Right.
But the environment online shifted from sorrow to deep suspicion almost instantaneously.
Yeah.
It just created this vacuum for these theories to flourish.
And crucially, the primary person driving this deep suspicion wasn't some, anonymous forum poster. It was someone who had immediate access and history with Kirk, Candace Owens.
Yeah, that's key.
She wasn't looking for a mysterious masked assassin. She pointed her finger directly toward the possibility of a government cover-up, and later, shockingly, inside the Kirk family itself.
Wow.
That is the fundamental conflict that dominates our sources. Okay, let's unpack this.
What's fascinating here is how quickly she mobilized these highly specific technical details, framing the incident not as a local crime, but as this large-scale professional plot requiring, federal resources.
Let's start exactly where the suspicion began, the federal conspiracy claims. Just days after the event, September 18th, Candace Owens took to Instagram. She claimed that the publicly reported details surrounding Kirk's death just made no sense.
Right.
She was adamant that the government was hiding something massive, labeling it overtly a federal conspiracy.
That speed is it's a defining characteristic of modern information warfare, isn't it? Before official investigations had even gathered initial statements, she was establishing doubt, soliciting tips,
Yeah.
and using the credibility of her platform to aggregate just raw, unverified data. She got this influx of tips, apparently, including photos allegedly linking individuals to the shooting.
But the detail that truly resonated, the one that provided that illusion of expertise, as we see in the sources, was the aviation theory.
Ah, yes, the plane.
It sounds technical, it sounds hard to refute, and it points directly to sophisticated evasion.
The theory revolved around reports of a private jet departing from Provo 1 hour after the shooting. The key detail Owens circulated was the claim that this plane reportedly turned off its radar mid-flight.
And the significance of that, if true, it cannot be overstated. When a plane allegedly shuts off its radar transponder, it effectively disappears from public tracking systems.
Exactly. It goes dark.
Owens claimed aviation experts confirmed this was almost never happens and definitely wasn't normal operating procedure, suggesting the intent was specifically to hide the aircraft's tail number and destination.
Exactly. And this technical anomaly, it just weaponizes suspicion.
Yeah.
It shifts the blame from maybe a local failure, say, inadequate security or policing, to a systemic, highly sophisticated government actor capable of manipulating air traffic control.
Right.
For those already distrustful of authority, this specific technical detail becomes almost undeniable proof of high-level coordination and, well, obfuscation.
But okay, here's a question then. If this was a highly sophisticated federal assassination executed with high-level technical precision, like an alleged mid-air radar shutdown, why would the conspiracy then rely on the leak of messy personal details? It feels like a disconnect.
That's the key inconsistency we have to address, absolutely. The narrative took a sudden, pretty viscous turn, pivoting from external political enemies to potential betrayal inside his own home.
Right.
The shift focuses the blame onto the name whispered as the suspect, Charlie's own wife, Erica Kirk.
This is truly the craziest twist, I think. The narrative descends from a political thriller into a tragedy of personal betrayal. The sources detail specific reasons why rumors targeting Erica gained traction, focusing heavily on how her public behavior defied the common expectation of a grieving widow.
Her actions were immediately scrutinized through this lens of suspicion. First, there was the silence. She reportedly vanished from social media, which those spreading the rumors characterized as totally uncharacteristic for her, active online presence.
So absence became evasion in this context.
Pretty much. In the context of the incident, yes, absence was interpreted as evasion.
And then, when she finally did speak publicly, the scrutiny intensified. The reports circulated online focused on her tone, noting it as strange, even calm, robotic, distant, and allegedly lacking the expected outpouring of real emotion or tears.
And this perceived lack of overt, dramatic emotion served as powerful ammunition for the conspiracy theory. It plays into these deep-seated, often gendered expectations about how one should grieve in public. Right?
Totally.
When those expectations are violated, particularly in a high-profile case like this, the narrative quickly shifts to, she must be hiding something, she lacks remorse, maybe she was involved.
And of course, the motive had to be supplied to make it stick. Rumors about their private life began circulating, reports alleging money problems, heated arguments, and a troubled marriage behind the scenes.
Right.
So this confluence of, uncharacteristic public behavior and rumored private strife provided all the necessary ingredients for the personal betrayal theory to take immediate root.
And this culminated, as you mentioned, with Owens essentially giving the stamp of approval to this personal theory. She went to the highest possible level of accusation, stating explicitly, and I quote, "I am now fully convinced that Charlie Kirk's assassination was a federal conspiracy. They are lying about it."
Wow. That's explicit.
Very. And the sources are clear that she provided no proof, but the power of the statement itself was enough to ignite an inferno online.
We really cannot talk about the severity of these accusations without taking a necessary step back, I think, to provide the crucial political context here.
Oh, absolutely vital.
This wasn't just a friendly difference of opinion emerging. This was a former ally with a severely fractured past with Kirk.
This is vital for you, the listener, to understand. Kirk and Owens were prominent, powerful allies within the conservative movement until their major fallout. That fallout centered on Owens' commentary concerning Israel during the Gaza conflict.
Right, I remember that.
Which ultimately led to her very public firing from the Daily Wire.
So their relationship wasn't just strained. It was defined by a severe professional and, ideological schism that essentially led to Owens' professional isolation in many ways.
Definitely.
This history casts a very specific shadow over her subsequent accusations, doesn't it? It fuels the perception among critics that her mission was less about truth-telling and maybe more about settling a massive political score.
And this tension manifested in a massive public relations failure, arguably.
Yeah.
Her absence from the funeral.
Yeah, that was noticeable.
Thousands gathered in Arizona to mourn Kirk, including heavyweights like Tucker Carlson. Candace Owens, the primary voice, supposedly seeking justice, was conspicuously absent.
The optics of her decision were almost deliberately provocative, it felt like. Instead of attending the funeral, she posted this controversial message online detailing her day. Attended Mass, made dinner, watched Tucker talk about Jesus and Erica's love. Today was perfect.
Oof.
The timing, the tone, and the clear priority of her personal day over public mourning was widely and, frankly, savagely criticized.
Why skip the funeral of a person you are now dedicating your public platform to seeking justice for? It just didn't add up for many. For her former allies, this was the moment that, for them, proved her motivations were perhaps impure and personal.
And the backlash from within Kirk's circle was swift. Pastor Rob McCoy, a close confidant of Kirk's, publicly rebuked Owens for spreading conspiracy theories. He stated plainly that, quote, Charlie would never have treated Candace or her family this way.
That's a massive condemnation.
It really is, coming from a source so close to the family.
And the damage wasn't just political, it was deeply personal. The sources report that Kirk's own parents grew distant from Erica, allegedly cutting off direct contact and communicating only through intermediaries.
Wow, so the public accusations were actively damaging relationships inside the already grieving family circle.
It seems so, yeah.
Yet Owens didn't waver. She simply expanded the scope of the political hit narrative. She claimed Charlie was targeted specifically because of his growing profile and particularly his fierce criticism of U.S. foreign policy, positioning him as a martyr of the establishment.
And to give the political conspiracy more specific weight, she introduced another high-profile name into the mix. The claim that billionaire Bill Amann had directly threatened Charlie just weeks before his death.
Ah, the Amman connection.
Yeah, this adds a specific financial and political motive to the alleged external plot.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting for our synthesis, I think. We have these serious, high-stakes allegations. The secretive jet, the marital strife, the specific billionaire threat, all being swiftly and strongly denied by those involved, including Ammann himself and Kirk's own production staff.
But the reality is, by the time the denial surfaced, the narrative has already been set, hasn't it? It's circulated, it's been internalized by large sections of the public. The official denial becomes simply part of the wider cover-up for those predisposed to believe the conspiracy in the first place. It just feeds the beast.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, this entire story illustrates the core difficulty of modern information. A single event is immediately buried under two massively conflicting high-stakes narratives.
Exactly. The internet is forced to grapple with a large-scale political hit and government conspiracy while simultaneously battling a tragedy born from personal betrayal inside his own home.
And neither of those narratives requires proof to function, really.
Not at all. They both rely on emotional resonance and pre-existing political bias. The official story of a public shooting is rendered almost irrelevant compared to the powerful emotional and ideological pull of either a political assassination or a, spousal betrayal.
It's truly a shocking turn of events that fractured both a family and a major political movement simultaneously, ensuring that the legacy of Charlie Kirk will forever be tangled in this web of unproven accusations.
Regardless of the truth that may eventually emerge through official channels, the immediate and widespread acceptance of these conflicting high-stakes theories means Charlie Kirk's public legacy is no longer defined solely by his activism or even his death.
Yeah.
It is permanently entangled with these publicly aired accusations of conspiracy and betrayal.
That is the lasting impact, isn't it? What narrative seems most compelling to you based on these circulating reports? Because despite whatever official truth may emerge, the storm of betrayal and political intrigue has fundamentally redefined and potentially overshadowed the public memory of a prominent figure. The controversy and the questions surrounding his death may ultimately define his legacy more than his life ever did. It's something to think about.